Hello again, everybody. Welcome to Let's Dwarf 2. Just to remind you, I'll be talking about game design and development for the Lonely Dwarves, or whatever it is I feel like talking about, or possibly nothing at all. Whatever mood strikes me. So we just got the Tough Dwarf bandana as a reward for completing the Direwolf quest. Again, everything has detailed lore associated with it, so if you want to take the time to read that, you can. It's mostly not very important to advance the story. You can see that the Tough Dwarf bandana gives a strength bonus, which is pretty cool. I haven't talked about how any of the attributes work yet. You might imagine that strength will make you hit harder, which is what it does, but each weapon has its own individual damage formula. Crossbows use agility to determine their damage versus, say, Grognar's axe, which are most often strength-based. Weapons have a random component and some way that attributes affect them. There may be limitations on how much an attribute will affect a weapon, kind of to make later weapons better. So if you have like the Grognar's crappy axe, suppose his strength is I have to look at the formula to get the exact number, but you will not get any benefit past, we'll say, 15 or 20, and but the later axes will, so to make them that much better. Something that some playtesters had discovered that I was surprised by, at least one person never found the inn. They told me how difficult the game was, and I was a little surprised until they realized there was no place to heal besides going to the item shop and buying like heal potions. I didn't do anything about that, but I really should have like another conversation that says, hey, we're tired, let's go to the inn to recover our strength, but not done yet. It's a little light on feature discovery because all that stuff had to be implemented from scratch. One thing that I definitely don't think is intuitive is tapping on Grognar on the map is how you bring the main menus up. Yeah, so far the only thing we've killed have been mischievous troll kids. So they show up in the bestiary. And we're off. Oh, I'm sorry, I misspoke earlier. The Tough Dwarf bandana was a reward for killing the trolls, not for the direwolf. We are going after the direwolf right now. So welcome to our first cave. The music here in this cave is the first piece I composed for Lonely Dwarves, so you can tell some of the sound effects that you see here in all the other songs weren't really developed. Some character development that occurs in conversations that pop up when you hit specific squares. So Grognar hates spiders, and now I'm bringing up the effects on Grognar where he has an effect on him always called I hate spiders. So damage dealt to spiders by Grognar is reduced by 30%. So little things like this, you add a little bit of flavor. Similarly, Tormald has an effect that I think is called Orcs Killed My Parents, that makes him do extra damage against orcs. And some of the conversations later will show how much he dislikes orcs. So this is an interesting and unfortunate fight that if you to get hit with first. As you can tell, what Zarkov did was cast Gas Cloud. Now, Gas Cloud is really effective against the bats because the bats regenerate when they hit you. They use Life Drain. And Gas Cloud will mute the Life Drain ability, so they heal less. But Gas Cloud hits everybody, and the poison damage is actually healing the slime, or whatever that thing is. So, this being the first real dungeon, you can... Like, the difficulty is pretty low, so you can experiment a bit to try to find out what works and what doesn't work. Poison against the round slime does not work, but at this point we can just brutalize the thing to death. Slimes are resistant to physical damage, so you want to use some sort of magic on them if you can, but you could still punch them to death. Alright, so we found some leather bracers. I'm gonna equip those on Corbland. Now, I think if I was starting everything over from scratch, I would have had some drag and drop functionality, make these equip screens a little bit easier to use. I don't think they're too bad once you get used to it, but first time they might be a little difficult to figure out exactly how everything works. Alright, so against two bats is the perfect time to use Gas Cloud. It just does nice damage to these things to begin with. Keeps proccing over time. That was a tough spell I had balancing. I think it might be still a little bit OP. New weapon for Tormold. There's a comparison UI that will show you what the difference is between what you were thinking about equipping. If you saw that, it was a no-brainer. The mace does a ton more damage. Now the Rusty Helmet, there's a negative adjustment to agility, so there'll be a penalty to give that to Corbland. She'll be doing less damage with the crossbows, so it's kind of a no-brainer just to give that to Grognar so he could take more of a beating. Fighting some bees. Bees have super low health, so you should be able to one-shot them, but they will sting you pretty bad. Just the intro overworld enemies, nothing too fancy. I don't know why I did that. The cicadas were designed around the time the last cicadas emerged, that big event. So look up what year that was. (2013) Might be right. So those things were designed a long time ago. I guess I wanted to level up. It's a little pit stop in the town. This might not have been necessary, but taking a little bit of a better safe than sorry approach. Can stop, see if we could upgrade our equipment at all. Yeah, the comparison UI was one of the last features that got built, but I thought it was really important. Otherwise, you have to examine the item, examine what items you have equipped, see who could equip what, and it really was a chore to manage inventory. Now, right from one menu, you could know what trade-offs you're making. So an accidental feature this has is, I mentioned earlier that when you die you lose all your gold. That's really the only penalty. But you could store unlimited gear, so you could bank the value of the gear and not lose that when you die. Kind of a bug, I guess, but I don't have any intention of changing that functionality. If you look in the background, you can see clouds moving left and right behind the trees. The clouds and the trees are all procedurally generated, so each battle you see here will have different trees and different looking clouds. I like the way the trees came out. This tricky encounter again. So one thing I noticed when I was initially playing the game was it was very common to get hit with the same encounter more than once in a row. And that always just felt kind of awkward. It's like, oh, I just fought this encounter. So I added in some logic that if the random number generator chose the same encounter that you just fought, it will re-roll and choose again. If it comes up the second time, you will get the same encounter twice in a row. But the way it feels is you never notice that. So it never really jumps out and says, oh, I'd never get the same encounter twice in a row, or at least very rarely. But it feels way less awkward. So objects that are in the world, like the treasure chest, you might notice that it looks rotated a bit. There's a couple parameters that you could set that you could scale, rotate, or translate items. Like items have a home in each square, but where they're drawn, you could modify that. You could also modify their Z position for things that you could walk through, so you could walk over or under different things. Haven't talked about the lighting yet. I might save that for the next video. So this time I have smartened up a bit. I hit the slime with that ice spell. Since we leveled up again, we have some more magic points too, so we won't run out of magic quite so quick. I also apologize, in the previous video the top and bottom of the Dwarf video was cut off, so hopefully that will not happen in this one. Alright, you see walking around over there, there's something. Let's get rid of this stupid bat. I tried to make encounters a little bit, like the random ones, a little bit rarer than in some other similar games to this. And they should last a little bit longer. So stomping around minding his own business here is the wolf. The wolf is especially susceptible to weaken. You should just get that spell before fighting him, so... The problem with that spell is it has a random length, so you're never quite sure when it's going to end. The wolf can save against it effectively. This is your first real boss fight. Doesn't do anything too special. He just hits hard and has a decent number of hit points, so you got to kind of grind him down. Now, Grognar has been raging, which is his special ability. We also cast Harden on him, which ups his defense, but it also makes him hit harder. So you see that second resource meter, the kind of green one, that's Grognar's stored up rage. When that is full, that's the only time you could use the rage ability, and then it will slowly drain over time. You can no longer control him. He only attacks, but his timer goes quicker between attacks, and depending on how many hit points he has, the more hurt he is, there's a larger bonus to the amount of damage that he does. The rage meter fills up whenever he hits something or someone hits him. Someone hitting him fills it much more quickly. So typically you save it for when there's a boss, and then Grognar goes nuts and does a whole bunch of extra damage to the boss. There's one fight later I'll show you where that doesn't work out so well. Bye-bye, wolf. I think I'll end this video here. Thanks again for watching. I'll come back with another one soon.